There was a fear of missing out because I knew that if I made this journey, I knew that when I decided to become sober, that I was probably going to be doing it alone. I could have just called the channel Getting Sober and Staying Sober Forever. That's not as ringy, is it? And I didn't think I would be able to trust myself to be able to get sober and to stay sober, ... forever. So I called it Getting Sober, ... again. All right, we're going to go live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Getting Sober, ... again. My name is Jay, and today we're going to talk about struggling in silence. Are you struggling in silence? Maybe it's time to reach out to somebody and have somebody help you out along your journey. But if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to this channel and go ahead and like this video at some point to help spread the word about what we're doing here in this community, and definitely leave a comment. It doesn't have to be just for me, it can be for anybody else that's down in the comments, or if you want to share some information that you think is helpful and relevant, please comment below. All right, let's get started. So today, I just want to talk about, are you struggling in silence? And what I mean by that is a lot of us don't want to really confront or face being sober or getting sober or having to fear like we're missing out. Like we have the fear of missing out, aka FOMO. We get a little bit of that, right? We think that's we're used to doing everything with a drink in our hand, right? Whether it be going bowling, having a beer, going to the movie theaters, having a beer, having boring old dinner with a glass of wine, whatever it is. Sometimes you go out for brunch on the weekends and you have a mimosa, or you have, a cocktail or a beer or whatever, a little glass of champagne, whatever you have. Have a little bit of Maker's Mark in your coffee, a little bit of iced juice tequila in my coffee. It was just kind of like, what else can we drink to? Became my attitude. And that was like something where, there was a fear of missing out because I knew that if I made this journey, I knew that when I decided to become sober, that I was probably going to be doing it alone. And I remember when I started this channel back in 2018, it was November of 2018. And again, nobody's journey is perfect. Like I don't know anybody that really gets out of this scot-free, right? I really don't. I mean, maybe you have a wonderful picture perfect textbook example of getting sober and executing that plan and just moving forward and never looking back. If you're that person, feel free to comment below. Don't feel like you're bragging. You may also be adding inspiration to some other people. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different mentalities and the way that we approach things, our different life circumstances. Some of us have kids, some of us don't have kids. Some of us are married, some of us aren't married, And so the way that we're going to approach every situation, including sobriety, is going to be a lot different. If you were in, say, political office, the last thing you probably want is your public information or your personal information getting out to the public, right? And so I think that a reason why a lot of us struggle in silence to get sober and stay sober, and struggle with their sobriety in silence, is because they don't want to be looked down upon. When we live in a society where there's so much alcoholism, there's so many people that drink. It's such a normal thing. It's such a seemingly innocent thing. It's when you turn on the TV, there's commercials for it. When you're watching a movie, they're doing it in the movies. When you're watching a TV show, they're celebrating, they're doing all the normal stuff. They're cheersing, they're having the happy hour after work. It's a birthday, it's a Christmas, it's a drinking holiday. They're at the beach, they're bowling, they're doing whatever, and they're drinking. And then so you're always constantly getting slapped in the face with, you open a magazine and somebody's drinking. You watch a YouTube, like this channel will probably if this channel gets broken up with a commercial and there's a beer commercial, let me know. But they're all over the place. Alcohol commercials are everywhere, and the alcohol industry is competing at top dollar to remind you that they exist and how good of a time that you can have with their product and what new products they're rolling out. And you're basically helpless in that regard to stand up to them and the effort that they're putting forth to capture and grab your attention. When I started this journey back in 2018, I was not in a great mental state. Things were starting to take a turn in my relationship, sort of, not really. We just kind of hit like a really rough spot in our relationship. And I'll spare you the details, but I wasn't too confident where the relationship was going, and I knew that I needed to make a change. I was going to do my part to try to make a big effort and make a big change. And then out of that big effort and that big change, the relationship started to improve. But the change was me getting sober. And getting sober ... again. And then also making this channel and calling it getting sober ... again, because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to just, I could have just called the channel getting sober and staying sober forever. That's not as ringy, is it? And I didn't think I would be able to trust myself to be able to get sober and just stay sober ... forever. So I called it getting sober ... again. And I was highly contemplating reaching out to, I remember there's a local church nearby, and I was looking up AA meetings. But before that, I was looking up AA meetings, and I think I went to like the AA website, and when I typed in like where I lived, like no search results. I don't know if it was just like an error on the web page's fault, or if it was just like my internet browser on my phone, or if I was looking at my laptop or whatever. Sometimes things work better from on a mobile device versus a laptop, or tablet versus a laptop. So I didn't give it a really good effort. I didn't really try very hard to look into AA. And, I was a little reluctant. I was a little hesitant to delve into AA because I had natural concerns, which were, maybe you agree with this, which is maybe, what if I see somebody I know? What if I see somebody that knows my fiance at the time? What if somebody knows her and then they're gonna say like, oh, guess what? I saw Jay. And then, people gossip. And I'm guessing that in AA or 12-step or any of those other programs that they, the part of the condition is I'm hoping anonymity, but you still can't stop somebody from talking, and if it was a juicy enough bit of gossip, then there's going to be reason for people to talk. And I think that's a logical thing for us to be fearful of, is having our journey exposed. And we want to be able to control who is let into that journey, but also too, like who really wants your journey to be public. I decided that I would make my journey public. And in that, I was hoping that it would not only give me strength, but it would also give other people strength. It would provide transparency on my part so that people around me would know like, hey, okay, he's actually doing this. He's committing to it and he's putting it on record. And not only that, but he's also letting the world see that he's on this journey, whether, win, lose, or draw. This is going to be a public thing. So I thought maybe I took a different approach. I just went completely public with it. Now, it wasn't like, hey, everybody, I didn't go on like my Facebook and my social media. I think I did to an extent, saying that I was getting sober, and I made a YouTube channel about it. But I didn't really know where the channel was going to go in the beginning. I had no idea. I just set the camera. I just set the camera right there, and I think I had everything was a different arrangement there, like the light setup was different and all that. And I turned the camera on and I talked straight through. I didn't really plan what I was going to talk about. I really didn't have topics. I just kind of talked off the top of my head, which is not unlike how I'm doing it now. But it was a little less structured, and I was a little less motivated. I was just kind of like half-assing it, which I feel like a lot of people, raise your hand if you agree with that, you kind of maybe do it half-assed in the beginning. You just kind of try to, you just see like, well, let's just see if I could just be sober for like 3 days. And it's like, oh, day 2, you're like, nah, I had a rough day at work and I went and drank. And, so in the beginning, I always tell people, when you're going to try to get sober, it's really important to have accountability. That's one of the most important things. First and foremost, you have to decide that it's what you want to do and that you're going to do it. So if you say, I'm going to do this, that's something that a lot of people don't do. They don't commit to just saying, I'm going to be sober. I'm going to be sober for 3 days. I'm not going to it is the rule. That's what I'm doing. I'm not drinking for 3 days. I know that there's going to be temptation. Duh. I know I'm going to go through Instagram and there's going to be an ad for Corona or whatever, or White Claw or tequila, or something's going to pop up. I know it's going to happen, but I don't need to indulge. I don't need to let it affect my day. I know I'm going to have a stressful day at work. I'm not going to go to the bar afterwards. For these 3 days, I'm not going to drink. But what a lot of people don't do is, on top of the accountability and just committing and just saying, like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to be sober. A lot of people too are afraid to open up. A lot of people are afraid to just go on record. Besides, if you have, like, say, a significant other, a partner, spouse, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband or wife, a lot of people outside of that very small household community won't maybe mention to other friends, like, oh, hey, I'm going to be sober for a couple of days, so I won't be seeing you up here at the bar. And maybe extending the invitation. I bet that there's at least somebody that who is dying to know that there's somebody else in their life that also wants to get sober. I know that somebody else that's struggling. I know that somebody that's a mess and that could definitely benefit from having a sponsor of some sorts, or having like a sober buddy, even just for a few days, just to show themselves that it's possible. And when you start with the desire and the motivation, inspiration within you, that that it's possible for you to do it. Sometimes you got to prove it to yourself to know that it's possible, right? And that's why you've never heard me say in any of my videos, like, so if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I'm never going to speak out of place and try to step in your shoes. I don't know what your struggles like. I don't know how you were raised when you were a kid. I don't know what your traumas were like. I don't know what your traumas are like. I don't know what your job is like. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your community's like. And I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to say that, well, since, I made it, if I could do it, I had things bad. You know how bad things were? I'm not going to do that because I don't know. I don't know how bad things are. And I'm sure that a percentage of you probably have harder lives than I do. Probably had harder upbringings. Maybe live in a harder community to live in and interact in, and probably don't have the kind of support that maybe I do. And I'm not saying I have a whole lot of support, but I know that it's important to be transparent about your actions. When we talk, even if we're talking about just like, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna try to earn that degree, or I'm gonna try to get another degree, or I'm gonna get my master's, or whatever it is. It's putting the actions behind the words. Not just saying that you're going to do the thing, because how many of us know somebody that have said something but they didn't do it? Or how many of us have been the person who said that they're going to do something but then didn't do it? Even with the best intentions, being all psyched up and ready to go, and you watch some YouTube tutorials and you read a book or whatever, and you were all fired up and you were going to do it and you were full of motivation and inspiration. Then you just had that one shitty day and it just kind of derailed. Before the train even took off, it just derailed you. It derailed all of your good intentions. What are you going to do? It happens to the best of us. So a suggestion I'll give you is try to reach out to some other people. Try to see, like, there shouldn't be any shame in the journey. There shouldn't be any shame in the progress or in your process, in your journey. This is your journey. And along the way that you may inspire somebody, going back to like when I was talking about potentially wanting to join AA, I was looking at I was looking on the AA website, and if I remember, I'll put the link on the screen here, and I'll put a link down below so you can click on it too. And maybe if that's something that you want to do, you can go and do it. But I finally did find where the meetings were. It was, I don't know what day it was, but I know the meetings were like at 7:00, and I was considering going for the first time. And then so because I have like social anxiety, I decided I'll just do it on my own. And a friend was coming to visit from Denver. He came from Denver to Cleveland to visit, and I told him, "Hey, guess what?" And he was like, "What is it?" And I said, "I decided to get sober." And I told him, he's like, telling me congratulations and all that. But I told him, I was like, right before you told me that you were going to come here, I was looking at time slots to go to my first AA meeting. nearby at a local church. And I was kind of nervous about it. And then when you said you were coming to town, I decided that I would make it a goal for myself to be sober all the way until you came here. And I was going to be excited with you to share the news with you that I had been sober X amount of days and that I was going to continue being sober, and I was going to start making a YouTube channel about it, which is what you're watching now. And you never know, like he had always kind of been, my friend Patrick, he'd always been an inspirational person in my life. He sometimes calls me out of the blue and just be like, "Hey, how do you feel about participating in a triathlon in a couple of months?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Well, let's have another conversation about it." But he's always reaching out to me, and he'll say, he'll come out of the blue with like a random challenge, like, "Let's do 100 push-ups a day, and we'll do that for 30 days, or we'll run X amount of miles a day, or like we won't drink." So he's done that for me, and I've tried in turn from the seeds that he's planted within me, and whoever's planted seeds in him, maybe he's got it from YouTube videos, I don't know, but I'm just passing it along, and I'm encouraging you to maybe also be that person for somebody else. So when people see that you're excited, and sometimes I know it's hard to get excited for ourselves, right? That's why we sometimes actively procrastinate. If you agree with the following statement, where sometimes it seems easier to fix other problems, to fix other people's problems than it is to fix your own, comment below. I think a lot of us find ourselves being like we're on the verge of just deciding to put our foot down and stand up to alcoholism and to addiction. And we're right there. We're very, very close. And then we find ourselves living vicariously through our words and giving them to somebody else to help solve their problems, whether it be with their problems with their relationship, which is obviously abusive to you and to everybody else and you think like, well, duh, if they could just see what I see, then it would be easy for them to get out of that relationship. Well, maybe it's not a relationship with just a relationship with a person. Maybe it's a relationship with drugs. Maybe it's a relationship with alcohol. Who knows? But you could possibly be an inspiration to somebody else, somebody close to you, by finally putting your foot down and stopping all of that negative momentum, all of that generational trauma that you might have. Maybe you come from a long line, a lineage of alcoholics. A great-grandfather who made his own moonshine, and a grandfather who drank whiskey every day, and then your dad did it, and then you did it, and then maybe now you have kids and your kids have been seeing you all of their conscious lives drink. And what do you expect for them? Like setting them up. Like what if you just think about like what you were exposed to as a kid. And I think about sometimes what I was exposed to and what I wasn't exposed to. Like I was having I was having an innocent conversation with a friend yesterday about like how when I was brought up, we never like learned how to have dining etiquette. Like I didn't know like where the silverware went, like where the fork went and where the knife went, and how do you signal that you're just taking a break, how you're taking a break, or like, if you're ready for the next plate, or whatever, if you're unsatisfied. We didn't do that. My dad taught me how to use a fork or a spoon, and then use your thumb to scoop the stuff into the fork or the knife, and then the fork or the spoon, and then shovel that food into your mouth, right? They were just happy that I ate. So what happened in our house is a little bit different. And so needless to say that there wasn't a whole lot of talk about investing or starting your own business or writing, business plans or proposals, or like how to ask lenders for money and get, quality interest rates and things like that. And if that's a topic that you're interested in, maybe you'll be interested in my last episode, which is about me getting out of bankruptcy finally, which happened just this past Friday. So my encouragement to you is maybe don't struggle in silence. You don't have to be ashamed of the fact that you are trying to make a change for the better. If you looked at it that way, that you are making a change for the better, you should be able to strip away the negative connotations that you perceive other people in your community to have about you. Everybody struggles with something. And if you're dealing with people that are judging you, then I think that's a key indicator that you don't have the best people around you. And I know it may seem a little bit lonelier to have to maybe step away from those people, all the people that you know in your community, all the people that are at the fish fry or the barbecue or at the church or whatever, but other people also have drinking problems. And good for you for making the effort to try to make better decisions instead of worse decisions. Good for you for taking your health into consideration. Good for you for wanting to add more life to the end of your life and be there for people that need you most. And who knows, maybe there's somebody that's very close to you who needs you just the way that you need yourself right now during this part of your journey. So with that, I wish you good luck on your journey. Comment below where you are in your journey, and I will see you in the next video.